Yes. Yes, we are live. We are live. We are live. Hey, guys, it's Old Man G here from Red Devil Studio. We're back again with another 100% Manchester United podcast. I'm joined by fellow Manchester United YouTubers and Manchester United fans. So we start from this way for terms of introductions.
Yeah, everybody. My name's Tom. I was unfortunately not able to come on the show last week due to a couple of weather-related incidents that disconnected my internet. But yeah, I don't actually have a United fan channel at the moment. But I come onto the European podcast with Old Man G. Most of the time I record a fan cam after the game, whenever both of us are free and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just a passionate Man United fan and a realist.
Fair enough. My name's Usman. I've got my own channel, Usman Talks United. We do basically, as it says, my United content, fan cams, the general stuff. Yeah, feel free to check it out.
I'm Richard. I have the channel Rich Sports. It's Premier League, NFL, NBA. But at the moment, mainly Premier League because the US sports haven't resumed or started yet. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, my name's Sam. My channel is Sam United TV, and as it sort of says in the name, it's just me talking about United. Yeah, match previews, reviews, and there'll be a few other bits there as well soon. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. I'm Robin. I run a channel called Draco Evolve, and I love United. Everything United there.
Hi guys, I'm Dev and I run the full-time podcast channel. Still technically yet to do a full-length podcast, even though it's got it in the title, but we'll forget that. But yeah, I talk about everything just kind of to do with sport. I've centered on United at the moment, but we do Premier League content, Football Manager content, player compilations, Ultimate 11s, just anything to do with football really.
Cool. That's everyone. Everyone that is watching, hopefully, please, links in the description to these channels. Please over there, subscribe and support this ever-growing Manchester United community. So please head down in the description. The links to their channels are there. We'd really, really appreciate it. So let's basically get stuck in, guys. The first thing I wanted to address was the Crystal Palace and Southampton games. Now, we did have obviously conversation last week for those who were there regarding, I think this was just before these games were played. There was a lot of optimism and enthusiasm going into those games. And then certain things happened. So we'll start obviously with Tom, so working way down. Now that we've obviously played Palace and Southampton, how do you kind of feel about Manchester United following those games?
Well, personally, out of both of the games, I wasn't overly impressed with our performance. It wasn't really a majority of a team performance. It was pick of individuals, really. Southampton, we had some, I think Martial had a good game. If he would have maybe scored that early chance, it would have been 3-1, might have been the game put to bed, really. And that late goal would have counted for nothing. It's chances like that we need to be punishing, and then Southampton went up the other end and then scored a chance that was diabolical defending by us. Exactly the same with the goal that equalised the game at the last minute. Terrible set piece, set up. We've had 4 players at the front post and 1 player at the back post. I don't really get how that numbers out correctly. Palace, and Southampton, it was a game that we played poorly in and we didn't get away with it. Palace, we played poorly in, but we got away with it, really. Palace had some good shouts in there. Zaha was a major highlight for them on that left wing, causing us a couple of problems. Obviously, the VAR decisions happened. Sometimes you get them given, sometimes you don't. That's just football at the moment. And when we get used to VAR, it'll obviously improve a lot more. But no, overall, getting 4 points out of 2 games that we played poorly isn't that bad, to be honest, because we could have lost the Southampton game in that last 20 minutes, played poorly, and we could have probably lost some points against Palace if the goal wouldn't have been ruled out. That's 1-1, might have been a different game then. So I think we're lucky, getting 4 points out of a possible 6 in 2 games that we didn't play well in. I think that's a good conversion, going into the last two games, obviously. Probably expect us to win, and it's just a case of keeping this unbeaten run going and keep the confidence flowing with the team and everything at the moment.
Fair enough, Tom. That's my man. What were your thoughts?
I suppose Tom's kind of hit the nail on the head on some aspects regarding both games. I think just to look at the Southampton game first and foremost, I was very optimistic going into that game, as your guests were last week, and rightly so. We were on I wouldn't say a fantastic run of form in terms of performances, but we were still playing fairly well. Even against Aston Villa, I thought in the first 20 minutes we looked a bit off the pace, but the quality showed in the Aston Villa game. But regarding the Southampton game, I think you've got to give credit to Southampton, to be quite frankly honest with you. They kind of caught us off guard with the press. They've clearly seen the way that we played the ball through the lines, in particular with Maguire and Lindelof trying to play the ball quickly to Matic and Pogba, and then when they eventually released Bruno, they kind of nullified that. They didn't allow us to get the ball to Pogba, and when they did get the ball to Pogba, as we saw from the first goal that they did score, they kind of pounced on him. They didn't give him the opportunity to find that ball to Bruno, who has been the catalyst for us going forward. So I think sometimes you got to hold your hands up and say, no, what? Fair play to the opposition team. They've outplayed us. I think my concern with that game was it wasn't the fact that we were so poor. It was the fact that we didn't react. There wasn't any reaction from the players. It seemed like, oh, what's happened here? And we didn't have any in-game management at all from Oli, from the players. You know, we've spoken about leadership from Bruno, Pogba, but it seemed lacking in that game. There wasn't anyone who's actually talking. It didn't seem like there's anyone talking on the pitch. And it's just no one was taking responsibility, which is something that was worrying. Of course, other factors such as fatigue, potential complacency going into the game as well were a massive factor. But moving on to the Palace game, what I will say and give credit to Oli too is a lot of criticism was at Oli's door at, I think, the substitutions in particular at Southampton that a lot of people are pointing down, basically saying that cost us in the second half, taking Pogba and Bruno off, the two players that are creative but also control the midfield, for two players that are incapable, well, as it seems, incapable of controlling midfield. So against Crystal Palace, I was happy he didn't sub either off. And in the last 8 minutes, he actually saw us turn up. But again, I agree with Tom. Very poor, but at the end of the day, we got the 3 points yesterday, which is all that matters to me, really.
I think over the last week, all seen teams that haven't been good for a lot of the games, but we have got 4 points, and we have seen maybe Chelsea put in a bad performance and beaten 3-2, or lose Sheffield United 3-0. So I think it's disappointing that we haven't been performing in the way that we have done maybe a couple of weeks ago. But the fact that we've come through these 2 games with 4 points is very pleasing. I'm just looking at the Keane avatar and thinking someone in midfield to kind of really get people going and to motivate. And maybe we do need more leadership in the middle of the pitch, which sometimes when games aren't going quite your way, someone that is really saying, come on guys, this is not good enough, we need to kind of step it up a bit. Because in the Southampton game, you could see that Bruno sort of stepped up a bit and other people respond, but maybe they respond based on seeing him do it rather than somebody actually saying, no, come on, we need to move through the gears. Both games, I thought we started quite poorly, quite slow, and we got punished against Southampton. Crystal Palace could quite easily have been taking the lead as well. In real time, I thought it was a penalty. I think it could have been 50-50. They could have called it either way, but I thought it was a penalty. It looked like a clumsy challenge that probably deserved to be punished, and I think we got away with one. Definitely got away with one in that game. Regarding the offside, offside's offside. So if it's offside, I'm happy with that. I mean, regardless of how close or how close it is. So if it's a millimetre from being a goal, we're happy that it's not allowed a goal. If it's a millimetre offside, then it's offside. So I think the decisions maybe where they're quite close, and a lot of the pundits are looking at it, but I think maybe they're favouring the referee's decision when it's not completely clear cut. But with the Palace game and Southampton game, it's also a game where suddenly, for a very small period of the game, we look like world beaters again with Rashford and Marshall, the way they're linking up. It's almost like very slow, then suddenly click into gear and bang, a goal out of almost nothing. I think in both games, which is a positive, because even when we're not playing well, we have so many match winners in our team now. We have Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes. Either one of them, it's said so many times in games where we haven't played well, but someone's basically just done a moment of brilliance to win the match. I think what we need to do is maybe not put ourselves in that position where we need that to happen every game, because sometimes they seem to be firing every game at the moment, but surely at some point that we can't keep bailing out defensive errors and seem to be quite sluggish team performances. But that said, 2 games that could have quite easily been a couple of draws. It could have even been worse, maybe in the Southampton game, but 4 points, it's still in our hands, and I'm quite confident about our last 2 games. I think other teams around us that have put in poor performances have dropped points, and there's only was it like a month ago we were about 10 points behind a couple of these teams.
Yeah.
So I think we were at one point. I was looking at it because I know a friend and colleague that supports Chelsea, and I was thinking, well, we're not going to catch you. And Leicester seemed out of sight, even though they weren't playing well. So the fact that we're now talking about being level on points with them, with a game that we can beat them into, maybe secure even 3rd, then I'm very optimistic and happy with the results. Maybe not quite so much with the performance, but really happy with the results.
Thanks, bro.
Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. For me, both. I mean, they were fairly similar performances, both games. It felt like, especially the Southampton game, it felt like we were waiting for them to score. Them classic United games, we were waiting for them to score, and then we'd start playing. And I think that's what happened in that game, especially. They scored, and then we had that sort of 20-minute spell where we looked like amazing again, like Rich said, where Rashford and Martial scored those 2 goals. But the most disappointing thing for me was that we just didn't push on from there. I thought when we had that 2-1 lead, I thought, okay, right, now's the time to dominate the game, keep the ball with Pogba and Bruno, really take control of it, and get that 3rd goal that would obviously kill the game. And it just didn't happen. I don't know whether that's down to fatigue. It could be, because obviously we've been playing the same team, the last few games. And it was kind of similar in the Palace game where we just didn't start well. Zaha and Ayew were causing problems, and we didn't take control of the game. I think partly was due to the fact that Matic wasn't playing. Pogba looked completely lost. he didn't trust McTominay. He needed Matic in there just to sort of to be the leader in the midfield. And I thought, okay, this is one of them games again where we're going to have to wait. We're only going to start playing once they score. Luckily, it didn't happen, and we managed to get the goal. But another thing what I was disappointed about, was we got the goal just on half time, and then in the second half we didn't take control of it and get that 2nd goal straight away and kill the game off. Luckily, obviously, Martial, brilliant finish in the end, and just we relied on the Palace game, especially. We relied on individual brilliance to win the games. I don't think it was a great game from United, but at this point in the season, it doesn't really matter. I'll take 1-0 wins. I don't care. I don't think anyone does really. It's just get the win, get the 3 points, move on to the next game. As few injuries as possible, and then. So to me, both games were fairly similar, but we just had those individual moments to be able to win the game, and obviously we defended well. Palace didn't have a bigger threat as Southampton did, and it was a bit of a wake up for United, because we played some good games previously, but they were against obviously Brighton, Bournemouth, and who's the other one? Who's the other team? Villa. They're obviously all fighting for relegation, so we should be brushing their team aside. But we come up against a good Southampton side, and we did look that great. So a bit of a reality check for us, I think. But I don't care. We won.
Don't sit on Bournemouth, Sam. They did pepper Leicester 4-1, man. So
true.
Yeah,
very true.
Before I go to Dev, this because a fellow United fan, Manchester fan, keeps on spamming this question. Manchester, do you guys think Rash is the GOAT?
Absolutely.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Go is a very overused term these days. He's greatest at more time, and he's not had finished his career yet. So
it might be the GOAT of our season, but
he's having a great month.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great restart.
Yeah.
great restart. Great. Go of the restart. There you go. Go of restart. Dev, buddy, what are your thoughts?
I mean, do you know what it is? So, you know, in that post-Fergie era, when we all sort of like sat back and thought, you know what, we're not going to experience the type of success we used to experience. And I kind of got used to that. And I used to go into games and things and not really expecting much. Thinking, you know, if we put in a good performance, I'll be happy or whatever. And Ollie, the idiot, has made me expect things again to the point where we come up against teams like Southampton and Crystal Palace and I expect us to beat them. And I don't think in that time since the post-Fergie era have I ever been that split second angry when I saw that last minute goal go in. The only reason I say that is just because I can't question our team's quality over who we played.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at it man for man, and we should be beating Southampton. We should be beating Crystal Palace. There's no doubt in my mind about that. You're not going to pick one player in either of those lineups that will trump the person who's in ours. You're not. So we should be beating them on that. The only thing that's going to change that is either fortune or mentality. And when it comes to fortune, we had our chances. We had the opportunities to put these games to bed. We had VAR against us, maybe against Southampton, but we are clutching at straws if we're going to just pick on that because we had the chances to put them away. And
True.
The only time that I get angry as a United fan is at times in that Southampton game.
Oh, Dev, we lost you. You there?
We didn't.
Ooh, Dev, I think we've lost you, buddy. Your mic and camera's all stuttery.
Mentality. I can't
Still going.
fathom the minds of a group of players who are 2-1 up at half time, or even a manager. I don't know who's really.
Dev, your mic and camera's coming in and out. If you come back in and come back out again, that might work. So what I'll do is I'll remove you from the stream and then just log in and come back, and maybe that'll fix it. Draco, buddy, just want to wait for to finish off. Like, what are your thoughts on the Southampton?
Well, look, I'm not going to repeat myself because the gents up there is absolutely spot on. Personally, for me, we are the best team since the restart. I loved every single second of it. And I expected a bit more going into Southampton and Crystal Palace. I think, personally, Southampton deserved the point. The way they pressed us, the way they played, I think they were fantastic. Yes, it's a bit of an annoyance that we had to concede a goal right at the end from a set piece. But I think with the Crystal Palace performance, I felt that we should have probably gone on and gotten a bit more goals, especially the last 10 minutes where we kind of sat back and kind of passed around. And with the goal difference being, +3 to Leicester at the moment, I think goals are important. However, saying that, look, I'll take even 1-0 scrappy wins, own goals, offside, whatever. I'll take at this moment in stage. But I think I expected a bit more ever since the restart, the way that we've been performing. I expected a bit more in the last couple of games. It wasn't the case, but I'll take those points, and we're still in a shout to get the top 4. That's the most important thing at the moment.
Just a few questions in. So IMAX Fit Football says we United to make top 4. We are going to be addressing on the last part of the segment, so just stay tuned. We are going to be coming to that. This might be decent to be addressed now. Actually, will Ollie be replaced if he fails to get top 4?
No.
He shouldn't. No.
Yeah, I think he's done enough. I think he's done enough to warrant the job currently. The way that he's performing with the squad, the players and clicking and the atmosphere around the club. I don't think he'll get the sack.
He's done enough to buy himself more time. Really.
Yeah.
If you want to put it as he might be replaced later down the line, he's buying himself more time.
there's also the fact that there's still the Europa League, you know. So I mean, at the end of the day, like
Exactly.
wins the Europa League and that's the champion. Then like no one. That's what Mourinho did, I think, in his second.
We could have won 3 trophies this year. We can still win either the Europa League or the FA Cup, and we got to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, but we bottled it in the first leg. That was the problem. So we could have won that. You know, I would have took us chances to beat Aston Villa in the final.
And I remember that Europa League semi-final. There was a certain player that wasn't playing that I felt hindered us, and that was one Nemanja Matic. He wasn't playing in that Carabao Cup.
No, but we brought him off the bench at half time.
At half time, and
it's like nullified damage.
Yeah, we won. I think we won that half 1-0 when they conceded 3 goals. It was Don Ragnar, who's been a regular member here. What did Fergie the GOAT say to Ollie when he saw the dishevelled public bench sleeping Lingard? Come on. You've got to. It's always fancy Don Wagner. I know you don't rate Ollie yet, so but you know with time you'll come around. I know that. Dev, do you want to just finish your point on Crystal Palace and Southampton, and then we'll get straight into the Chelsea United FA Cup.
Yeah, sorry about. I think if my internet goes again, I might have to catch the next one because it has been a bit iffy all day. But yeah, what I was basically saying is that I can sit and watch a game, and if we lose, but we give it a good fight and we do our best, then I can make peace with it. But when I see us throwing it away when it could have been ours and should have been ours, that's when, as a United fan, I just cannot. I don't want to be those United fans who say, you know, it was, you know, hark back to the glory days all the time when something goes wrong. The one thing that you always saw in any good side is that they just don't give up, and United never used to give up. But we gave up at the end of Southampton, and we lost it when it was the last kick of the game, and it was a terrible defensive setup from the corner, things that we supposedly reinforced in the summer. So Palace was better. Like, the goals were good. The intensity wasn't there from either side, which I kind of expected. But we ran out the winners because our quality overran them. But against Chelsea, against West Ham, who are struggling in the relegation battle, then Leicester, we might become a bit undone. So hopefully, Ollie said, you know, take it easy because we're gearing up for these. I don't know, maybe that'd be nice if he was. But yeah, we if we go into any of these next games like we did the previous 2, I reckon we're going to bottle it. So let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Okay. Thanks, Dev. I think everyone's to 2 cents. So let's quickly move on. So I don't want this to go on for too long. So, but United versus Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final. I think that if I'm perfectly honest, before Crystal Palace and Southampton, I was just thinking with the amount of what we're going, I was like, we're going to just pepper these guys because Chelsea, in my opinion, look bad. They just don't look. They look like it's weird. They look like how Ollie was playing for the first half of our season, where they seem to be lethargic, passing sideways, and are just waiting for a counter-attack to basically score a goal. That's kind of how Chelsea seem to be like right now. However, following the results of those 2 games, and this is my opinion and view, but I naturally obviously want top 4 over any FA Cup. So it is what it is. The trophy should be better, but we know that top 4 means more than the FA Cup now these days, unfortunately. And given the fact that we're going to be playing 3 days away as our Chelsea, in my opinion, as bad as it sounds, I just feel that I would take the opportunity to rest players. I wouldn't play as strong, especially Nemanja Matic, who we've seen was so important when he came on. My opinion should be you rest some players, play a not terrible team, but a half-decent team against a Chelsea side that, you know, are relying on Arsenal bench warmer and Olivier Giroud to score their goals. Let's be real here. It's let's be real.
I mean, we beat them with a terrible team anyway. We beat them the first day of the season 4-0.
Exactly.
We didn't have Bruno then, so
exactly. So we can still win the game. It's just that I just think that in my opinion, my view, that if it's possible to rest players for Wednesday, where we really need to beat West Ham at Old Trafford, we should. But what are your thoughts, guys? Like, obviously, starting this one, like how should we approach this game? How do you think Ollie should set up?
I personally echo your sentiment, to be honest with you. I think I may have gone a bit overboard in terms of my team selection, in terms of wholesale changes. I've completely stripped the team bare. Only reason being, again, to agree with what you said, is I honestly couldn't care less what happens in this game. I'll be honest with you. Of course, as United fans, we want a trophy, but the way I see it is you got to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is if we get top four, we're more likely to attract better players. If we win an FA Cup and we don't get top four because, I don't know, the players are still tired, is it still the same poll? I would have to say no. Obviously, we know regarding sponsorships, etc., we're going to lose money, and we know how much Ed Woodward loves his money. So factors like that will definitely hinder us in the long run, rather than just winning an FA Cup. You know, we need to think about moving forward, and I think for me, Champions League is the route to do so. So for me personally, I would actually go for midfielder Fred, McTominay and Mata. Obviously, Mata isn't the one that I would ideally want to pick, but it just echoes, you know, the fact that we haven't got strength in depth. There isn't really anyone else to play there. Gomez would have been perfect, obviously, but, you know, we know what's happened there. But, yeah, so I'd go for Fred, McTominay. You know, they've played fantastic against Chelsea in the past. I believe they've beaten them 2-3 times now, whilst they're paired together. So I don't see why they can't do it again. I know a lot of people will say, well, they're not currently playing well. But this is an opportunity for them to play themselves into form. You know, it's a big pitch. Chelsea are probably going to dominate the game. Opportunity for us to soak up pressure and hit them on the break with the likes of James as well, and potentially Jesse Lingard. Again, I know people aren't going to agree with my team selection because it's literally all the B players. But I just think we need to rest our players for West Ham. If Bruno is to play this game, hypothetically speaking, and he gets injured, it's not worth it, is it? Or even if Pogba plays or Rashford plays, Martial, you know, all of these guys have played 5 games in 10 days, high intensity. And for me personally, you have to rotate the squad.
Fair enough, Isman. Fair enough. Rich, what's your thoughts?
I was thinking regarding the first game we beat them 4-0. Was that when James scored in that game? Or,
Yeah, he scored both, yeah.
We scored. Chelsea started off quite strong in that game. I think we scored a goal against the run of play, and I think I seem to remember James hitting the ground running the first few games of the season. And I think maybe all the games we've seen the last couple of weeks, the teams again that we completely dominate possession normally, maybe not against Southampton, but we should be dominating possession. Whereas with Chelsea, maybe that will be a game where we can play how we were 6 months ago against Manchester City, where if we can keep it really tight at the back. But I was thinking I wouldn't want to change the defence too much, because you want to maybe play that way where we will soak up pressure, we will have to defend well, but then have players like James with the pace that will have opportunity. Because I've seen a couple of Chelsea games recently where when they lose it, they really lose it. And if we can hit them on the break, I think against the first game of the season, they kind of folded after we went 2-up. So maybe a completely different game. I'm not sure how much should rotate in midfield. Maybe Fernandes keeps being talked about being rested. Maybe we'll have a very strong bench so that if we do need to, with this, there's going to be extra time and penalties if there's no replayers there.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be a case of hold back some match-winning players and maybe have a very strong 20 minutes from them if we need to. But I'd like to see James get a game, so it's quite impressive with him early on. Obviously, with Greenwood and the way we're playing, he hasn't had a look in. But there's also, I said a week ago, there's a lot of fringe players that, if they want to be part of the team, they're going to get a chance maybe in this game or the next game. They've really got to step up and show that. I mean, Solskjaer was an expert at sitting on the bench, watching the game, or not even getting selected. When he got the opportunity, bang, he was completely on it, hit the ground running, and that's why he kind of almost became a super sub, because he could have the impact. There might be a lot of players that, if they get a start, they really need to show that that some of these players have been getting quite a lot of stick, but I think the bar's been raised now. There's higher expectation that maybe Deb was saying that you may be watching a Manchester United team not expecting them to get something, but now we're expecting them to win most games and we're expecting a high performance. And if these players that maybe could coast 6 months ago or a couple of years ago, they need to now prove that they're going to be good enough to stay in the squad, because there will be changes and there will be players in. So that said, I mean, Chelsea are a danger, but I'm fairly confident we can put out a team to beat them, hopefully. And if we don't have a strong team starting, we have a very good bench to hopefully not have to go to extra time. I'm still calling it a
Sorry, I'm in meat. I echo the sentiments exactly, Richard. I echo the sentiments exactly. I really, really don't want us to go to extra time. Really, really don't.
I don't think the players do either. To be fair.
No. I think
Don,
maybe we'll have to just make a lot of substitutions with 20 minutes to go, because we can make quite a few changes and really go for it if we need to.
Yeah,
that'd be mine.
Don Magnus says, "Is Marshall slowly becoming integral? Are people starting to see what he does without the ball? Hold up play with the back to goal, and finishing with the right assist players now behind him?"
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
It's slept on for ages.
Yeah.
This narrative that
Is that the
Martial
time
always-
to develop in that number 9 role?
I think Martial always had these traits, but there was this narrative. I don't know if it's based on his facial expression, that he was always lazy, that he was uninterested, that he didn't care, they didn't want to be at the club, probably generated by Mourinho. And I think that because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has sort of put him in a position and has backed him and supported him and has helped to develop him, you're seeing more of that now. And I still think that there are a lot of people that don't seem to give Martial the credit he deserves. But I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think is Don Ragnar right, or do you think?
For me,
Yeah.
Go on, Dev.
Yeah, thanks, man. And yeah, 100%. I think one thing that's been slept on a lot is that his manipulation of the ball is almost second to none in the Premier League in terms of his close control and his just outright skill. Because Firmino will probably get, the plaudits for seeking out the pass and doing all that kind of stuff. But Martial's got the goals and Firmino gets the assist. So they're a different kind of ilk of striker. But in terms of just his intelligence and knowing when to run forward and knowing when to press, in reading the game, holding the play up, getting out of them tricky situations. I'll always remember I was fortunate enough to be at the game where we beat Watford 3-0 just before we went into lockdown, and he did that little lob over Ben Foster, and he took it in between his legs and did that lob. I just remember looking at it thinking, who does that? No one does that. You have to, but it's nice for us to finally have that little bit of arrogance about us, and that's what I think Martial brings. And United has always had that sort of arrogant player in their team, a Cantona, Ronaldo. I'm not putting him on that plinth, but we need that sort of confidence about him. But I love him. I just love him. When the man does that little thing with his gloves, and it's not even cold, but he's got them little black gloves on, he's suited for army, he's ready to go. There's nothing like it from a United perspective. So yeah, I agree with Don Ragnar. I answered Don Ragnar by saying absolutely yes.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think it's been this lazy punditry that's started this whole. You hear the pundits saying, "Oh, Greenwood's great, Rashford's great, and Martial's great when he wants to be," but he's like that. I don't know where that's come from. I think it's just lazy. I don't get why he has this sort of tag as when he wants to be. If you're in, us as a United fan, we watch the whole 90 minutes. We see the things he does. His hold up play, the way he brings other people into play. I mean, there's no one else in our squad. Maybe Ogalo, he's obviously got a decent hold up play, but there's no one else in our squad that's got the attribute Martial has got and that can do the job he does. We saw when he was injured, Rashford played as a central striker and it just wasn't the same. The only way you can play Rashford as a striker for me is when you're playing full out counter attack. Rashford is not good with his back to goal. So yeah, Martial is key to our team. He's been slept on for ages for me.
So I just say, I think I've always thought Martial is fantastic, and I don't understand why. I think it's maybe a lazy narrative. Somebody said it once, but maybe when we've not been playing well, frustrated body language at not getting, making runs that you don't get the pass, or where you're frustrated that your team's playing poorly, you're not getting any supply. Maybe frustrated body language is looking like you're lazy. Sometimes when you're not getting any creativity from midfield, you make less runs maybe because the ball's never going there. And now when he knows that Bruno's first thought is going to be, where can I put that ball? A bit like Scholes would do, right? Where's the space? Where's the runner? And everything now is, you need kind of both sides of it. You need the midfield to make Martial make those runs. But I think it was a couple of years ago where he scored a goal against Liverpool where he cut in, and his close control is ridiculous. It's just amazing. And you don't choose not to do that in some games. He's clearly trying all the time. And I think that a lot of journalists maybe like to label, say like Lukaku or someone else, and just every player with like a characteristic that's not true at all. And no, he's fantastic, and I think that his goal scoring record has been really good for at least a few years, and he's quite often maybe under the radar because we haven't been excelling, we haven't been winning as much as we should do. But no, he's a great player, and how old is he? 24? He's
24 now.
Away from his peak, and he's just I think he's an exceptional talent.
Yeah, just to add to that, finally, I just want to give a shout out to Ali as well, because a lot of speculation regarding the striker position, in particular when he sold Lukaku. Has he made the right decision? When Lukaku was scoring goals for Inter Milan, we've seen a lot of people comparing his stats to Martial. Well, nobody's doing that right now, are they? Because Martial has proved them all wrong. Not only did he get the number 9 shirt back, but he's shown Ali that he was right to have faith in him. So, and also just every time after a press conference when Ali comes out, when Martial's not done something, he's always talking about Martial needs to score scrappy goals. We're starting to see that evolution of Martial, and I think because Ali was such a clinical striker, you can see that he's kind of rubbed off on not just him but on Rashford as well, and that chemistry between them as well is just breathtaking now. So long may it continue, but I just had to give a special mention to Ali because I think he's done fantastic with him.
Yeah. I'm seeing the thing is, and I think something that's been touted a lot is we're seeing a lot of comparisons with Martial and Rashford to what Dwight York and Andy Cole had back in the day. It's only just beginning at the time right now, but two players who are still young. Rashford's 4 years probably away from hitting anywhere near his best. Martial's a year from hitting his best. They've both had the best scoring seasons. I think they've got the second best partnership in the Premier League behind Jimenez and Traore. We've not had that for I don't know how many years. And you need obviously the service like you guys have just been talking about. You need the service to score the goals. Obviously with Martial, I don't think he's really had the service this season. But when a player like Fernandes comes in who can open pockets up and can play balls through for you, it's a case of you've just got to put the chances away. And I think Martial's been quite clinical when he's been through on goal. And, if you want to tout me out on it or anything, just watch the Sheffield United game. 3 clinical cut chances that was created for him, stick them back in the net. And it's that composure with him when he's in front of goal. He'll go, he's got the audacity just to chip the goalkeeper. Even if it's from outside the box, he'll try it. And he's got that knack for being able to cut inside as well. From the left-hand side. I know when he came to Man United, first of all, we played him as the number 9. And then over different managers' eras, we've played him in different positions. I think we've got to find the right position for the right players. And that's the problem. When we look at Rashford's coming to the team. He's played 3 different positions, but now we've asserted him that he's a left winger. He's not a striker, he's a left winger. Exactly the same with Mason Greenwood right now. We're trying to find where his best position is. Is it out on the right? Is it up front? Is it left? Left wing, And this is the thing with young players. You've got to find where they're good at, and then you can develop them in that position. And that's what Ollie's done with Martial. He's seen Martial as number 9, and now he's trying to develop him into being a world-class number 9 and learning from somebody who's played that position I don't know how many years ago and has been an amazing player for us in the past, and who's played with some of the greatest players of all time. We can learn a lot from Ollie, and I think it's starting to rub off on him, like you said, obviously.
Fair enough, bro. West Ham are winning 3-0 now. Now that's good or bad depending on how you want. It's good in a sense that I think that eventually confirms that they're safe. So they might not necessarily play potential of the same intensity against Manchester United because they effectively are safe. But
I don't like that though.
Underestimate them. So there isn't as much riding on the United West Ham game as there was had they lost this game. That said, if I was a Watford fan, I'd be very, very concerned because I think they've got to play City and Arsenal. And there will only be 3 points behind, I think, Watford and Bournemouth and Aston Villa. So if I'm a Watford fan, and that 3-0 pretty much destroys their goal difference. If I'm a Watford fan watching, I'm probably quite concerned by that. But thanks for that, Team Takagi. Let's just quickly go back to the so who's left to speak on just discussing United versus Chelsea and what they expect. I think
it was on me. I started talking about Martial. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Ollie has to make changes. I think we all know that. Like, I don't think it's physically possible that these players can play again and then again on Wednesday, I think it is. For me, it's going to be interesting how Lampard approaches it, because obviously he knows that he's got this awful record against Ollie. And the thing with Lampard is, the 3 games we've played against Chelsea have played the same in each game. They've tried to dominate the game, tried to dominate the ball, and we've been able to do exactly what we want to do against these bigger teams, where we can counter-attack. But I think he might do something like what Mourinho did when we played Spurs in the first game back, where they let us have the ball. I think that's what he might do, especially knowing we're going to have a rotated side. I think he's going to try and let us have the ball maybe, and they might try and counter-attack on us. So that's going to be an interesting sort of aspect of the game. But yeah, we have to make changes. I think McTominay and Fred are going to have to come in. For me, I would still start Bruno. I know it's risky, but I think we don't have Bruno or Pogba, one of them. I think our creativity is like 0. So I think for me, he might start Bruno. I think he might start Rashford on the left still, and I think he'll play Agala and maybe Dan James. And then what I think might happen is, obviously we have 5 subs, so maybe after 50, 60 minutes he might obviously bring Rashford off and maybe bring Martial on. I think he's still Ollie's gonna want a trophy, and he obviously probably sees this as, obviously the Europa League is a big chance as well, but we've got loads of games to play still. So Ollie's gonna want a trophy, so I think he might go sort of semi-strong. But yeah, I think he's gonna start Bruno for me. But I think it's gonna be interesting, like I said, how Chelsea approach it. I think we know how we're gonna approach it. We're gonna try and down the counter attack. I don't think we're gonna try and dominate the game. But for me, yeah, it's gonna be interesting how Lampard reacts to it, because if he loses to us 4 times in one season, I mean,
the fans are holding the smoke, man. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, like. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, so he's got to react. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about how Chelsea and Lampard especially are going to react to it. So for me, it's going to be a different game to what we've seen previously against Chelsea. So we'll see.
Interesting.
I think Dev, you up, isn't it yet?
Is it next?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Was far in complete champions, because if he chooses you the main, because when you have things competition, you expect that you competition and where
sorry, your mic is cutting in and out. Can you become a bit closer?
It should clear up. Just
that's better.
That's better. Yeah.
But no, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's just the gods aren't shining on me today. I tell you that. But yeah, what I will say about it is that, managers will always have certain expectations of them from the board to play at a certain amount in certain competitions. So I can understand, excuse me, why Ollie might favour going, for this FA Cup win over some of our other goals. But if he really just nailed down and thought, what do I need to get out of this season? He needs to accommodate for the fact that, with the pandemic, with COVID-19, that it's going to make it harder for teams. Maybe it doesn't really include us because we're a different kind of brand of club and a brand of company. But, costs wise, it has affected everyone. And if he's going to do something that means potentially skimping out on the £100 million per year bonus that you get for even being in the Champions League, then I think he needs to reassess his options. I mean, 100 million quid, that's 1.25 Harry Maguires. You can get all sorts of that. So you just need to make sure that when you're thinking about these types of things and the kind of players we need bringing in, Champions League, not just for the aura that it brings, not just for the rotation or the squad depth or anything like that, but long term, I think in modern day football, the Champions League qualification is that stepping stone. I don't think it's no longer that FA Cup or Europa League. It might have been at one point, but we live in a modern world. We live in a money-driven world, a commercial world, and you don't get more commercially driven than the Champions League. So, Ollie, just go for the Champions League is what I'm trying to say. I'd say I agree with Usman completely. I would rest all of our big lads, if anything, because we've done it against Chelsea already. And it's the kind of team where we can probably play a bit of ball. And a player like Mata, a player like Fred, who's just a busybody, you know, can break things up. I think it might be even interesting to see how they pair up against them. And if you need to, bring on Bruno, bring on Pogba if you want. But as far as I'm concerned, batter West Ham, batter Leicester, and then it'll be a good season. And then that's all I care about.
Fair enough. Tom, you're next, I think. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I said it obviously in the fan cam. I think exactly the same as Dev and Usman. You know, rest a lot of the big players. They've played a lot of games. You know, Fernandes hasn't missed a game since his first joined the club. I don't think he's missed a game. You know, he played every game. Even the Norwich game where we played 120 minutes, he played all of that. You know, so he's played every single minute for us of the season. You know, players like Rashford coming back from serious injuries, I think need resting. You know, crucial players like we've talked about, Martial being integral to the team. You know, players like him you can swap out for, say, Garlo, and that's not a bad backup. But yeah, I think we need at least one of Fernandes and Pogba on the field. I think Ollie will do a little bit like what he did in the Spurs game, where he'll leave because he left. He put Fernandes out on the field and he left Pogba on the bench, and then he sort of switched them in the middle of the game because he brought Pogba on and then they played together, and then Fernandes went on a little bit late, you know. So I don't really particularly think it's what Ollie's going to do. I think we need. Personally, I would rest Fernandes because he's played a lot more games than Pogba recently. Matic had a rest, you know, in the Palace game, but we had to bring him on, so that might have hindered things. I don't think that was really in Ollie's plans. I think Ollie might have planned to have played Matic against Chelsea. So I think in terms of the selection, I would probably play Pogba instead of Fernandes, if I'm being brutally honest. And I'd probably do the exact same, stick Fred and McTominay in there. And I'd probably play Pogba more advanced, like we did in Ollie's caretaker position, where he played him more in an attacking sense rather than a defensive sense. You know, and it's a case of you fill the rest of the team up with what players you want to put in there. I think maybe another start for Southampton, maybe. You know, it's a case of we need to rest a lot of players, and I think it's really a recovery match, really. And like Dev's already said, you know, with being in the Champions League, you miss out on £100 million if you don't qualify, and if you do qualify, you get £100 million. And obviously, you're going to get more money off of that for how long you progress in the competition. You know, 100 million is going to do a lot to this team. You know, we've already talked about Sancho might cost that fee. You know, that might pay for Jadon Sancho. So, you know, it's integral to playing the Champions League. When you're trying to rebuild the club, you want to attract the best players. So there you go. I think the FA Cup isn't something that should be integral to us. It's a trophy. We want to win a trophy, obviously, but like I said in my fan cam, I think prioritise the top four. So then you've got your 100. Ed Woodward's happy at the end of the season. He's got his 100 million in the bank. Whether he'll want to spend it on Sancho or not, or other players, it's got to be seen. But in terms of like I said in my fan cam, though, you know, top four is more important than the FA Cup. You know, if we want to go and win a trophy, let's go and have a bash in the Europa League. You know, we've already got through the first phase of it against Lask. You know, they're not going to score 6 goals against us. Not going to happen. I think we've got probably the easiest tie out of the rest of the top teams in the Europa League. We play Istanbul or we play Copenhagen. You'd think that's a free ticket to the semi-final. And then suddenly we're only 180 minutes away from lifting a trophy possibly. You know, and it's a big trophy that we'd probably want to win, which is the Europa League. So if you want to win a trophy's still there to be won. And the players will obviously have a bit of a rest if they wanted to go and win that after the rest of the season. But I don't particularly think United have been put. I think United have been put in a disadvantage because we're playing a game every 3 days. You know, take the Palace game last night. We played that. We have 3 days recovery, and then on Sunday we play Chelsea. Then we play West Ham 3 days later. Then 3 days later we play Leicester on the Saturday. You know, 3 days, and I'm looking at teams like Chelsea's had what? When did they play?
Tuesday.
I can't remember.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. You know, they've had an extra day's rest than us. So
2 days.
It's just point improving there. You know, in terms of the game itself, I think exactly the same as what Dev said. I think they're going to set up exactly. I think it's going to have a bit of the feel the way Manchester City played against them, where they lost 2-1, where they're going to give you the ball. It's going to be a case of break us down. They're going to be very compact. Chelsea are not the best defensive team at the moment. You know, they're letting in sloppy goals. You know, it's a case of we need to create the chances to punish them. Depends what player we put on the field who can do that. And yeah, it's really just how we set up. That first 20 minutes needs to change. You know, in that first 20 minutes, game could be done and dusted if we play like we have done. You know, like if we play the same how we did against Southampton and Palace. You know, that first 20 minutes, Chelsea can get 3 goals in 20 minutes. Any team can get 3 goals in 20 minutes. Chelsea are still a top team. They've got top quality players. You know, and if they hit you on the counter attack, they've got the players to punish you. Pulisic, absolutely rapid. You know, if they play, I don't know, Abraham or whoever caused the problems.
Tom, I'm just going to throw you off just because we're running a bit out of time. So, but just quick final thoughts on what you think will happen, the result of the Chelsea United game.
I'm not too bothered, to be honest. If we advance, it's a bonus. We get to a final, but I wouldn't be too unimpressed if we did go out. You know, if Chelsea want to rave about winning the FA Cup, that's fine. It's not really an amazing.
They wouldn't beat City anyway.
To win. Yeah, there's bigger fish to fry, really, for United. That's the way to sum it up. There's bigger fish to fry at the moment. So, yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. Appreciate it. Just quick one by Smiley Flames says Kante should man mark Bruno, shut him out of the game. I know Smiley Flames is a Chelsea fan or Kovacic. I mean, yeah.
Kovacic can't do that.
Kante hasn't even really played that well recently, has he? I haven't really.
No.
I don't think he's been great.
I think he's injured anyway.
He might be injured.
I think
I think that's a shout.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, even if Kante marks Bruno, I mean, who's going to mark? Who's going to mark like a Rashford, or if Pogba plays, so that's the problem with. We can easily mark Giroud and Abraham, no problem.
Look, I mean, we beat Chelsea 4-0 with Andreas Pereira and Jesse Lingard in the first game of the season. So, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So even if Pogba's not playing, let's bring in Jesse Lingard and Pereira again. They'll do it.
Throwing Daniel James, man. Yeah. Draco, sorry.
Yeah.
Just what thoughts? Sorry, we've got
lads, come on, what's this about 4 or 5 player changes? It's only Chelsea, like, come on. But look, okay, look, I respect everyone's opinion, and there's been a lot of good things said, but looking at the fixtures, Chelsea's, I mean, we've had games over in the whole of July where we had 4 days rest. Chelsea didn't, and suddenly it's the other way around, and we're complaining about fitness and everything. Look, I reckon maximum of 2 changes. Keep the ball rolling. Keep the momentum going. Trophy is more important. £100 million getting to Champions League, I'm not sure about that figure. Having looked at it, I think it's distributed over stages of the games, like knockout, reaching the group stages, etc., right? But it's still a big commercial thing, right? That's fine. But make a couple of changes. I don't think we should make wholesale changes. I think either Pogba or Bruno should be rested. And the important thing we have to think about is there's 5 subs, gents. Like, we can rotate. And also, Chelsea have Liverpool on Wednesday. I think they'll be more worried about rotating than us. So let's get after them. That's it. I just don't. That's my 2 cents.
So you think it's better, for example, to say like, right, okay, make 1 or 2 changes, play semi-strong squad.
Yeah.
Basically, shut them down early on.
Yes. And then make the changes, because they're gonna have to start rotating themselves. I think we will. It's only Chelsea. We've already beaten them so many times, as you said. Andres Pereira was in our midfield before, but I think we can get at Chelsea the way that we're performing. Yes, the last couple of games was a bit iffy, but we can get at them. And gents, it's as I said, it's only Chelsea.
Clip that up. That'll come back to bite.
Yeah. I was just about to say, clip that up.
Usman,
Maybe it's good that we're playing Chelsea because maybe some of the other games we've expected an easy game, whereas we've got to expect Chelsea to really go for it and be a bit better quality than what we have been playing.
Yeah, I do understand, and also even if we kind of miss out on the top four, we've also got the Europa League. That's another avenue that we can get through. So it's not the end of the world. Whereas I believe Chelsea don't have. Are they in the Europa League still?
No, they're in the Champions League.
Currently 3-0 down.
Are they in the Champions League next season?
Yeah, against Bayern, I know.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So they're not in the Champions League anymore.
Not anymore. No.
But look, they've only got the league to play for, right? To get into the Champions League, they got Liverpool coming up on Wednesday. It's much of a bigger game to them than us kind of playing West Ham. Yes, it's both are equally important, but I think they'll be more or less resting up players or worrying about their fitnesses. Then we should get at them and shut down the game. And with the pace that we have, in the first 25 minutes, we can brush them aside. We've done that before. And then we got 5 substitutions, gents. 5 subs. We can rotate around, do whatever we want to do.
Fair enough. I'll just quickly go around you guys. Everyone just gives like a quick score prediction, and then we'll just spend like the last maybe 10 minutes just basically addressing the question: can Manchester United get top 4 again? So, Rich, if you want to start with what your quick score prediction for this game?
I was going to say 2-1. I think maybe we would start a bit stronger, and I agree with Draco that there's ways of resting players, and if you can finish the game early, then rest them in the second half. And I thought we might go strong because quite often you want to keep the momentum of a winning team, and maybe also you don't want to start too weak and then have to bring a lot of subs on and play extra time. That would be a bit of a nightmare for us. But I'll say 2-1. Thanks, Chelsea.
Okay. To Chelsea? No.
2-1 tonight.
Okay. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go to extra. I know, yeah. I think it's going to go extra time, but I think we might win it because if we get extra time, I think you get an extra sub as well. You get 6 sub. So then I think he might be able to bring on like a Martial, a Rashford, or maybe a Pogba or Bruno if one of them didn't start. So yeah, I think 1-1 extra time and we win it 2-1 thanks to one of the subs.
It's annoying now because I'm a fan of you can talk things into existence a little bit. So I was hoping no one said the E word, but now that Sam's put it out there, I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right. I think I can't pick any hole in what he said. 1-1 and then 2-1 in extra time. I think that's what's going to happen. It'll be a Norwich all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm going to go for 2-0, but I don't think it's going to be an easy. I thought it's not going to be an easy 2-0, but I'm going to go for a 2-0.
I think a lot of it would be, to move on to I'm just curious to see what midfield each team is going to put out. I think that for me is the key to do because I have a vague idea who's going to play front-wise in the backline, but I'm not sure what the midfield each team's going to pick because depending on which midfield is put out, for me, will depend on which team will have more of the ball and what Lampard wants to do. Like if we're going to play Matic and Pogba, for example, maybe drop one of Bruno or something, then I would still expect us to have most of the ball. Whereas if we play Fred and McTominay and maybe Bruno, and they play like Jorginho and Kovacic and something, then they might have a bit more of the ball and a bit more possession. So it'll be interesting to see which midfield comes out, which midfield both teams will decide they want to play. And we'll see what happens, I guess. Fingers crossed, United for the win. So lastly, just before we obviously round things up, and thanks everyone for watching, and thank you guys for taking part. We go back to the age-old question that we talked about the last show. To this show, given everything that's happened, given obviously the FA Cup going on, given the 3 games, given even what's happening with West Ham right now, and obviously with Spurs playing Leicester on Sunday as well, can Manchester United get top 4? Are you guys confident?
Yes.
Why are you confident? Why are you confident?
I do feel that we have, with all due respect to the other team like West Ham, they're much easier run-ins than what Chelsea and Leicester have. And I think the last game is going to be such a huge game against Leicester. And but I do believe we have the quality, we have the experienced players on the field, like Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. They can make things happen. We got informed strikers, Rashford and Anthony Martial. I think it is going to be a bit of a nail biter. And I'm not going to lie, but I think we're just going to make the top four. We're just going to make the top four.
Hey, Sam, what do you think?
Well, look, if start of the season you said beat West Ham and Leicester and you're in the top four, you're in the Champions League, we all would have taken it. So, like, we've got to be positive. We've got to think, look, these two games that are winnable, they are winnable for us. Like, we should be beating West Ham and Leicester. The only problem for me is I want to go into that. What's this? The summit?
Oh my God.
Is he slating Ollie again?
I don't even know what he's saying this time.
The Sun newspaper promised that Edward Hyde entered the Crown Autumn to the stadiums that mimicked Ollie's level MTP football fields akin to the Norwegian League.
To be fair, no fan of the stadium has helped us, to be fair, I think.
Frank Lampard, the
so,
wannabe Redknapp family member, will want a result over United to take that moment into the league finish, but I think United will win this game 2-1. Fair enough, Don Macklin. So go on, Sam, finish.
Yeah. My issue is, if we go into the last game against Leicester, where we need the win, I think we're in trouble, because that is going to suit Leicester so much. All they want to do is counter-attack all day. They want to soak up pressure, counter-attack with Vardy and Barnes and Gray, whatever. So that's my worry. I want to go into that game where they need to beat us. And hopefully that happens. Hopefully Mourinho can do us a favour and Spurs can beat Leicester. That's what I'm hoping on. But yeah, look, like I said, if we offered West Ham and Leicester 2 wins, we'd take it. So yeah, I think we're going to do it.
Okay. Yeah, Jokers also. Dev, your thoughts? Can we do it?
Yes. Like, come on. we shouldn't be like even conceivably thinking that we can throw it away now. It's in our hands. We are in the ascendancy. Everyone wants to be in our position. It is the relatively easier running. I throw no shade at all on West Ham or Leicester, none at all. But compared to Tottenham and Liverpool, yeah, they're not as good. They're in the relegation battle for a reason. But what I can see happening is that, Leicester are, West Ham to begin with, they work quite hard. At least they've shown recently that they can work quite hard. So as long as we don't let them outwork us and we let our quality overrun them, which we should do, then I think we're good. Leicester, exactly what Sam said, keep it compact. Don't let them get that space. Maybe play them at their own game and stretch their defense with Greenwood or even James later on. So we've got to. I will cry if we don't. There's a really good chance. It is a really good chance. But if I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, my money would be on Manchester United getting the top 4 for sure.
Fair enough. Okay, positives there. Richard, what are your thoughts?
Keep it going, Richard.
I think that definitely top 4. So I think the other 2 teams are going to drop points. I don't think Leicester are going to win both their games. Liverpool may be a bit on the beach after their title, but they're still. Yeah, I can't see us having to win against Leicester in the last game of the season. I think we'll do it definitely, and I think the other teams will drop points, and we won't be quite so stressed playing Leicester. Hopefully, never know. We just need to make sure we take care of West Ham first.
My actual ideal scenario, because I've got a lot of Chelsea fans that the band.
I know what you're going to say.
Is if United beat West Ham and obviously Leicester beat Spurs and Chelsea lose to Liverpool, we go into that final game where Leicester United basically need to play a draw. Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, ex-United, the United captain, United lad, Harry Maguire, previous Leicester. They get together like, bro, guys, we're both captains of respective clubs. Let's just be reasonable. Let's, you score, and then we'll score, and then we'll kind of play it out. We'll go for a drink afterwards and chill. And then the fans can just sort of be like, that's not fair, and cry about it, get top forward. I actually would, I'm not going to lie, I'd love that to happen. I love
It'd
it.
be quite funny.
Love it.
There's quite a famous World Cup match where 2 teams needed to do that.
Yeah.
And they played in midfield the whole game, and that's why now I think fixtures to play them at exactly the same kickoff time because they knew they both would draw. It was basically in the centre circle for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Funny. That'd be quite funny because I know a few Chelsea fans that it'd be very funny.
Did they get Rich? Did they get done for that? I swear it was at a World Cup or something, wasn't it? Did they get fined or something?
I recall that they then brought in this regulation or the rule where you had to play the final group match simultaneously. Yeah. Whereas before they were scheduled differently. I think this is going back quite a long time, maybe 70s.
Yeah, it was.
Where it was like a non-event because they could both finish non. It was quite funny, and that would be funny because I know Chelsea fans. I know it'd be very frustrating. But that's just that happens though.
The thing is, you couldn't really do anything about that because if they do lose against Liverpool, then you can't say people might not like that would happen. But if you're Leicester City, if you're Manchester United, you think we don't have to go at each other. We could just play out a draw and we both go into the top 4 and it's in our hands. Like, why would you go all out if it's in the interest of both teams?
That's got to be illegal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
got to be illegal.
That's
got to be illegal.
If you have an under-strength side, but if you have a full-strength side, that just how do you tell someone's not trying?
Exactly.
I mean, if you field a weak team.
Literally, Johnny Evans will speak to Harry Maguire. They'll be like, "Oh, we know, Johnny Evans is like, I love Manchester United. Harry Maguire, I love that. Let's just do it. So I just think that if that happens, it will be more because of the fact that Chelsea could take advantage of. Because at the end of the day, even if it does happen, Chelsea should have still beaten West Ham. They should have beaten Sheffield United, and they should have got something from Anfield. So you can't be too salty if that happens because Chelsea were in a position to see out top 4 and they didn't. But I just would love the Chelsea reaction fans because I know that they would.
I'll tell you what, if we do your thing, but then if we make it like, I don't know, 10-all, so that Martial gets 10 and then we can.
I was going to say this. Yeah,
10 golden boot. I
like that.
I'm all for that. That's fine.
I love it.
Then it's competitive. Then you can't say anything. Then it's fine.
A bit like the last Fergie game. Last time Fergie game was 5-5.
I'm even speaking of Harry Maguire. Even I should make a phone call to Peter Schmeichel, man. Speak to him. Bro, come on.
Tell him.
Sort it out, do something, So it's last question before we wrap up. Will Lingard be at a top 4 club next season?
No.
Only if he stays at United.
Get
That's
out.
the only way he'll be there. Top 4 club.
Get out. My God.
Big up Jesse Lingard. Oh no, big up Jesse Lingard though for that performance yesterday. I thought he was all right when he came on. He stopped Zaha completely. It was a good change by Lee, to be fair. Brought him on, and it was a defensive change. To be fair, him and Matic, but big up Jesse Lingard for that one.
Yeah, I do think that Lingard. I know we spent Lingard, but I do think, and one of my criticisms right now with Greenwood right now is that he's a brilliant finisher. I do think that I've noticed that while he's been playing on that side, Wan-Bissaka has been getting more exposed. So whether that's because he's not tracking back, overlapping, so I don't think it's. I know Wan-Bissaka hasn't played great, but I do think, several times he was getting doubled up on. I don't think Greenwood was really helping as much. Whereas Lingard is, better defensively in that mindset, So then I think Greenwood, and possibly maybe I could have argued that if Lingard came on the previous game, do we concede that goal? I'm not sure, So because he's not good going forward, we get that. He's not good.
He keeps the ball though.
Sorry?
He keeps the ball well though.
He keeps the ball, he runs, and I think he's better defensively than I would even argue James and even Greenwood, just because of his experience. So.
I'll tell you what, if Jesse Lingard is probably going to leave in the summer, we all probably know that he's probably going to leave, but this guy won us the FA Cup, so look, big up Lingard to me. I've got no bad feelings. I like him.
That's great.
He might give him a chance.
He also was the player that went a whole year without scoring or assisting, right? So
true, yeah, but it's not like he wasn't trying to score assists. That's
the worrying thing.
If I open my mouth on Jesse Lingard, just like you will know, his video will definitely get demonetized. I would say, yeah, I don't think he'll be here with us next season.
I agree with that.
I hope not.
Yeah, that's all. I'll leave it there.
We will see what happens. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much, everyone who's getting involved, the questions and watching along. Thanks so much for these guys. Please, guys, those who are watching, who will be watching, please head on to these guys, Richard Sports, Sam Knight TV, the Full-Time Podcast, Draco Evolve, and everyone else who's involved. The links are in the description. Head on out and support the channel. They're producing a lot of good Manchester United and just football general content. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Take care, guys. We will be back again. Fingers crossed, United win. All the best. And cheers.